Hello and welcome, my friends. It's me, Jennifer from Mystic Star. I want to welcome you guys to your weekly reading and congratulate you on making it to Friday. TGIF, my friends. It's been a long week. Actually, thinking about it, this week has really started to shift in that energy. Last week, about this time, I know that many of us were at that kind of exasperated point. But since the full moon's energies come in, Mercury retrograde, is no longer. Mercury's direct. And we're in the Cancer energy. It's been such a nice shift. There doesn't seem to be as much going on. We don't have as much strife. We don't have as much challenge. That energy is more supportive than it was a week ago today. I'm appreciating it. I don't know about you. Now, this is crazy to me. We're doing our weekly reading from June 27th to July 3rd. We're heading straight into July. And I find this happens every year. January, February, they seem to take a while. And then by the time the summer hits, it's like we're on fast forward. And in a blink of an eye, half the year is done. And everything that I wanted to do, I haven't always gotten to. And then there's usually more I want to do, or the more stuff that, the kids want to do. So I want to try and slow things down, be more intentional right now, because like I said, there always seems to be a very long to-do list. It's up to us to start doing it. And that's what I want to look at this week, is really how we can slow things down a bit, enjoy this time, and get some of that work done. Now the decks, I love this. This is going to be a visual stunner, guys. So this is the Spiral Tarot. It was brought out in the mid-'80s. This is actually the second deck I ever bought. And it is gorgeous. The imagery is so absolutely amazing. I love it. Now, it is and can be very overwhelming because there's other symbols and there's lots going on in this deck. I didn't know that at the time as to how much symbolism was in this deck. The internet didn't exist. And I actually bought the deck because of this card. This is what was on at the time. I don't know if it still is. But the front of the deck, absolutely beautiful. It's a challenging deck, and it can be really overwhelming for some to see. I'll try and keep it to a minimum and draw your attention to the important symbols of this week. But it's beautiful. And I'm pairing it with the Sacred Earth Oracle. Like I said, visually, it is going to be a feast, my friends. Now, like always, I do have links below to both these decks, so should they speak to you, you guys can go check them out for yourselves. I've been using the Spiral Tarot off and on for, let's see, I got it in the early 90s. A smidge. I've been using it for a smidge of a time here. All right, let's get into this week. What can my friends expect, card, from the week of June 27th through to July 3rd. Oh, and before I forget, all my Canada friends, my Canadian friends, happy Canada Day. July 1st, Canada Day. And next week, I know we're looking at, or not next week, the week after, we're looking at Independence Day on the 4th. There is a lot of time at the beginning of July, no matter where you're located in the world, to embrace some of this energy. You have two neighboring countries that are both in celebration mode over the weekend. You can use that festive, high vibrational energy to your advantage. Hands down. Like I said last week, sometimes these man-made holidays can bring in even more of that energy that we can use, because so many people are observing it in some capacity. Oh, such a beautiful card. Specialization. We're going to be able to start to pick apart some of those aspects that are meaningful for us. And we're going to be able to start to see them erupt and grow. Like I said, that to-do list, it can get pretty long, but there's pieces on it that have come up either again and again or have kind of really been niggling at you. It's time to embrace them. And we all have different areas of interest, things that are going to be meaningful for us. It's important that we do it for us, not for show, not for what others are going to perceive that we should be doing. We all have friends that are like, oh, you need to do this. If you don't have interest in it, you can ask them to share with you their passion and their joy. It doesn't mean that it's for you, right? And the more that you get to know it, maybe it might be. Hello, Miss Roberta. Lovely that you were able to make it on. So, like I was saying, some of the stuff that your friends may be into may not be for you. What we want to be looking at is what's meaningful for you, that you get excited about, enthusiastic about. You just can't wait to get your hands on because it's so darn exciting. I just got to get to it. That is what we need to do. We need to take time with it, and that's where we need to start to see that specialization come in, that attention to detail, and kind of cutting out all the extra crap and chaos and focus in at the heart of the matter. What's going to be important for you? Because it's all going to be different for everybody. Productivity. Because when we do start to focus in on what brings us joy, brings us fulfillment, what happens? We start to see that abundance roll in. We're raising our vibration. We're getting more inspiration. There is more coming forward because the universe likes to reward us. We work on aspects that are meaningful for us, and those aspects that are meaningful for us in some capacity are part of your soul's deeper purpose. That's why it just feels good. It's fun. You feel like you're actually getting work done. It's meaningful because you're being able to express yourself in a way that isn't able to be captured anywhere else. And the universe rewards us, of course, through abundance in all aspects of our life. And of course, through added supports, guidance. We're getting out of our head. We're getting out of our way. And that is when the light and those amazing gifts can be easily seen. Even though life has a tendency to have things kind of just cascade into each other, it can be hard to find that definition. The universe will throw in those unforeseeable, but unmissable aspects. This week is going to be fantastic for you. You're going to be able to start to really embrace some fulfilling aspects. So you're going to build you up. We're going to kind of get out of that hamster wheel that many of us are feeling caught in. I know a lot of my clients have been coming in and going, how do I get off this? They're calling it Independence Day, or not Independence Day, Groundhog Day, where you're getting up, you go to work. Now, whether or not you go and leave the building, some people like go downstairs to work, then they come up for dinner, and then they go to bed. There's nothing there. Well, this week we need to not only set some intentions and make it a priority. Start to give yourself time here and there. It doesn't have to be a major life commitment, but time here and there to connect into some of these aspects that are bringing fulfillment and joy. And I know sometimes it's hard to see how they connect. Take some time and reflect on how they do connect, because I can guarantee they do. And if you can't see it, that could be a part of your creative aspect on bringing them together. It's up to you. What do you want it to look like? You're the one in control of that. Let's see how this week's going to unfold. What can my friends expect? Seriously? Oh, hit the floor for the beginning part of the week. I ask that they keep it on the table, but they sometimes get really excited. Something that's funny to me, like I said, this deck was printed originally published in the 80s sometime. This deck was created last year. Size difference. I always say these are getting harder and harder to shuffle. These ones, when I start to shuffle them, it feels so familiar because I've used this deck for so long. The Queen of Pentacles. Such a fantastic card. Reminding us that we still have the ability to tap in a little bit here and there to this full strawberry moon. It's still there. It's kind of at its waning point, that it's on its way out, but it's still there. That divine feminine, absolutely, can you call in at any time? The full strawberry moon, well, next year we can. The beginning of the week, we need to use that feminine energy, that nurturing energy, to our advantage. We need to build ourselves up, both physically, spiritually, and emotionally. It's so easy to overlook aspects of self and try and plow in to something that is life-giving, something that is fun to do. We can't forget to build ourselves up, strengthen us in all aspects, so we can really enjoy and give that aspect, that learning, that aspect of self, that creativity, well, the energy, and I guess even physical ability to its most. Like, if we don't feel strong, if we feel just run down and tired, we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to feel strong enough to, or have the energy to start to engage in trying to embrace that aspect. You can't learn if you're tired. You can't learn if you're hungry. Your body has to be at its peak optimum to start to learn, to create, to produce. And that's exactly what we're looking at the beginning of the week. Taking that time for us. Nurturing us on all aspects. Now, like I said, the full strawberry moon, we're going to have a little bit on the Sunday, but it's kind of on its way out. We can, however, call in that divine feminine energy. Easy way to do that, visualize a silver energy coming into your space. Silver is the auric color of the divine feminine. Well, the divine masculine, it's gold. So that's silver energy. That can help with that nurturing, that compassion for self. Goes a long way. Compassion for self always goes a long way. And this goes without saying, she's the Pentacle Queen, right? She's the end all be all. She is the Mother Earth. Don't forget to ground yourself. The more stable we are, the more we're open to knowledge, to those aha moments that come with creativity and doing things that get us out of our head and get us out of our way. So making sure you're grounded and stable. It's part of that nurturing, right? You feel stronger. When you're grounded, you feel like you can take on the world. Literally, because you have the world connected in, right? You have that grounded energy. So back onto the middle of the week. What does the middle of the week bring, my friends? We've seen her before. The Princess of Wands. Of course, well, Princess, this can also be known as the Page of Wands. That innocent, playful energy. It's really going to help us connecting in to that very focused, determined, I guess, knowledge-seeking, creative-seeking aspect, right? We want to search things out. Well, the best way to do it is through the eyes of a child, allowing that inner child out to start to get off that hamster wheel, engage in that passion, that creativity, and start to connect some dots. Start to bring it in and make it meaningful, right? We want to make sure that we have that connection, because if we don't have that connection, again, we have that Groundhog Day effect. We just keep going through the cycles without without anything. You feel like a zombie. We need that fulfillment. We're emotional beings. We like things to have meaning. We like things to make sense. Well, that meaning part, we can focus in on that, which means focusing in on that understanding of whatever, specialization you're looking at, right? Is it a tool? Is it a skill? How do you improve that? How do you bring it into your everyday? And what's more, how can you incorporate it in so that you can create and bring meaning into everything you do? Those are questions that your inner child, that who, what, why, where. Ask those hard questions. Dive in, find out more about that skill. How do other people do it? And then how can you make it your own? You might want to take pieces and aspects of it and bring it in. You can reach out to friends and family. Start to ask questions. Ask others' opinions. And believe me, that's with a grain of salt. People will always have opinions. We need to use our critical thinking, because if you don't ask those questions, you don't have that connection. You're like a lemming, and that won't help. You want to ask those questions. So gain that insight and go, okay, so part of that connects with me or nothing connects with me, but thank you for sharing. Not only do they feel more connected to you, but you gain another perspective, more ideas. And you can just, shelve it away. And whether you ever need it or not, you have another perspective. And perspectives are pretty cool because you can collect them like stamps, where you can say, I want that one, and that one, and I'm going to mush them together, and that's what I'm going to do. Not only are we emotional beings, but we're very creative beings. And the middle of the week, that creativity, that lust for excitement and adventure and, knowledge, exploring our world is going to come forward. Time to embrace it. Don't let the fact that it says princess get you mixed up there, man. Sometimes the girls can be more ferocious than the boys. We do have that playful energy, though, of the princess or a page, but know that there is that zest for life, too. We need to embrace that. We want off this hamster wheel. We have to be the ones doing it. No one can do it for you. All right, let's go into the end of the week. What does the end of the week bring, my friends? Oh, speaking of end of the week. So, like I said earlier, Canada Day is July 1st. And then the Independence Day is the Sunday. I'm going to be doing my live reading this time on the Thursday. It is a long weekend, and I don't know about if the Americans have Monday or Friday off, but in Canada here, we have the Friday off. So I want to make sure that I don't have my kids like running around and trying to hi on screen. So I'm going to do it on Thursday night or Thursday afternoon. Okay. Just as a reminder to myself. Oh, such a gorgeous card. The Star. The 17th card in the Major Arcana. Those hopes and dreams. I said, like, maybe 5 minutes ago, perspective is amazing. You can get so many of them. But remember, when we start to change our perspective, change our outlook on how we're going to do things, we have to be mindful that those long-term goals may change as well. You may not have as much connection. You may not find there's as much meaning for what it is you used to think you want. Knowing what you know now, depending on how much reflection and how much change you've brought into those long-term expectations, we may need to check into where that star is and see if it hasn't relocated or repositioned itself. Okay? That's part of what the end of the week's going to bring us. The other part, of course, is that balance. It's hard to see in this card because the one thing about this deck is that it has a tendency to blend backgrounds. She does have one foot on a rock and then one foot in the water. That balance. She's also pouring her energy in the water and on the physical world and on the earth. We need that balance. This specialization, this interest and connection in with what's going to bring you joy and fulfillment will help you to bring in more harmony and more of a balance inside. Because we don't feel so disconnected. We don't feel zombie-like. That balance is going to be so important. We started off with nurturing, and we're going to end off with that balance. Like I said, when we care for ourselves and nurture us, that's when that growth will come. And that's what we're going to see throughout the week. Literally, it's going to be that progression. You're going to build yourself up, and you're going to feel strong. You're going to feel able. You're going to start to engage and explore and really get your hands dirty. At the end of the week, you're going to be like, oh, this is fantastic. We're going to have the ability to tap into so many beautiful, calm energies. I don't know about you, but that just in that statement in alone, it helps. We don't feel so bogged down right now. We feel more able to tap in to different aspects, different learnings, because we know our computer will keep up. We know that we can gain that knowledge with less frustration. Because some of that knowledge, it's not only going to become from internet searches, but also from conversations with people. Well, let's be honest, Mercury retrograde does not support really good conversational understanding and retention. We have Mercury direct. That understanding is a lot better. So this week is going to be fantastic for gaining some more knowledge and exploring how you're going to really expand your wings, start to spread them and see how things go. So let's look at the challenge. What challenge will my friends face for the week of June 27th through to July 3rd? There's always more challenges than not, right? Okay. So the first one, the Three of Wands. Now, the Three of Wands talks about action, talks about moving forward. Well, we're going to have resistance to that moving forward. Why? Because there's not going to be a clear path. You can see here, she's got that clear threshold. She's going to through. There's still some ambiguity and uncertainty as to that specialization. Because like I said, many of us have a huge to-do list. Well, we need to take that time to find out what is going to be really meaningful for you, because it's all different for everybody. That reflection in itself is a skill. Taking that time for you, helping to prepare you for embracing and working on one of these things that you want to do that is going to, well, in the end, be very prosperous for you. It's just trusting in the system. But again, we're looking at change, so our ego is going to be flaring up the fact that there's some uncertainty here. Oh my God, danger. Take it slow and steady, and you feel more stable. The path starts to become clearer the more that you trust in you, the more you're present for you, and of course, the more that you work with your abilities and your skills. When you bring it into your everyday, that's when you start to see things start to come forward a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. The 9 of Cups. Talking about how you may not see this abundance right away. Your ego hates change, right? So we like to have very clear, if I do this, this will be the result. Well, what we're saying is, yes, you do this, and you're going to have all this great abundance. That's not clear. Your brain is like a computer. It likes 1 + 2 = 3. Not 1 + 2 = rainbow. So we need to kind of put things in perspective. When we have that anxiety and that uncertainty, because it happens every time, we ground ourselves, feeling that stability. When you do things in a slow and steady manner, this uncertainty is lessened because you can change at any time. You can pivot on a dime because it's slow and steady. That's why I'm very big on making sure that we take it slow and steady. So we'll take some time, and that's okay. The more we're able to, embrace this journey and enjoy it, the more we're going to be able to experience, and these opportunities start to come forward, and you're able to engage them and go, oh, this is what I'm doing, but I like this. I'm going to mush it together and go over here, and then I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to go over here. You have that ability to make those shifts and changes. When you do a leap of faith and you're like, I'm just going to dive in head first and make huge changes, you don't always have that ability. Sorry, it is super dry in my house. The 8 of Wands. I love this rendition of the 8 of Wands. In the original one, you actually have to read up on it because literally it's like 8 wands coming down. You're like, what the hell does that mean? But you can see that creativity, those ahas just flying around. And that's kind of what this card talks about, right? How that inspiration and insight comes from the high vibrational beings. It comes straight at you. Lots of prosperity in it and lots of movement. It's another movement card. It's unfortunate that you have so many movement cards that are going to be your challenge. But again, your ego doesn't want this movement. Actually, your ego doesn't like any movement. Your ego likes stagnant, stuck in box. We need to push past that uncertainty. Now, many of us feel disconnected from the high vibrational beings. We don't feel like we are getting that inspiration, those ahas. Like I've said before, we got to get out of our head. We got to get out of our way. Because when we overthink it, of course we're not going to get it. That's why you get those random inspirations and those creative ideas at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're like half asleep, you've gone to the bathroom, you're like, oh, I'll go back to bed. Oh, wow, that's fantastic. You're not overthinking things. You're letting it go. The more we connect into those fun, creative endeavors, the more we're getting out of our head. And that's really what the 8 of Wands talks about. So I encourage you, especially when we feel stuck, take 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Doesn't have to be all day. Small steady steps, guys. In these aspects. exploring that skill, that tool, and using it, trying to incorporate it, learn more about it, get creative with it. That's when you're going to get out of your head and you're going to see that inspiration come forward. Now, we do have double eights. Where's the double eight? Do we have double eights? No, maybe not. I thought we had double eights. It's the 9 of cups and the 8 of cups. I lied. Nope, it's not an 8, it's a 6. The 6 of Swords talks about moving forward, no matter what we're carrying. Now, this card also talks about not only just moving forward, and I don't know if it's going to come up on screen really well here. It's a pretty dark card, but in the background, this land is very fertile and lush. We're moving from chaos and turbulence to calmer waters and to prosperity. And I love the fact that the ferryman has turned into the guardian angel. Knowing that we're not alone and knowing we've got to do this and still having that resistance to doing it, because this is a challenge still. Oh, need another crystal. Thankfully, I always have another crystal, right? Knowing that you need to move forward, but having that resistance, that fear, again, goes back to that stability and taking that deep breath. It may feel like a leap of faith, but remind yourself that this is a slow, steady progression. At any given time, you can slow down again and you can turn. You can like do a twirl. You can do a somersault. You have that ability. You have that control. And that control is really going to make a difference when it comes to where it is you're going and literally how you're getting there. So lots of resistance, lots of fear base. I've got a number of meditations that you can use to your advantage to help release some of that fear. The first one that always comes to mind is the one I did with Archangel Metatron, because that's what we did. That heartache and fear, releasing it. When we get that overwhelming, that anxious feeling, we need to start to stand up and go, okay, what can I do right now to support me in feeling stronger and more able to do what I want to do? We have that ability. And we don't always feel like we do, but we do. So taking 30 minutes, again, short time commitments here, right, guys? And starting to work on some of that healing, getting rid of some of this resistance, feeling more balanced and grounded, feeling stable. We're looking at expanding our repertoire of tools and skills. We're looking at growing this week. So it's not surprising that we're seeing our ego going, oh my God, no, you are not doing this. Sometimes when we have that inner resistance, checking into it. Why am I resistant? What is it that I'm trying to do? What good will it bring me? And what am I afraid of? Again, going back to that inner child, asking those hard questions. All right. Yeah, we have some challenge this week, but challenge that we've faced before. Our ego has tried to slow us down lots. It's time to start to, I guess, outwill and maneuver our ego. And the best part is we're using more of our brain when we do it, because we start to use our frontal cortex than back here, because that's where our ego is housed, at the back of our brain, at the rudimentary brain. We're using up here. We can outthink it. What's going to support my friends in embracing all that they can this week, while overcoming those challenges that they're going to face? I love it. Alchemy. So for my friends who aren't aware, Alchemy is the process of changing one material into another. I guess the most well-known alchemist object would be the Philosopher's Stone. Not only thanks to Harry Potter, but it's been referenced in many books. The elixir of life. Are we going to do that? Not so much. But we still have that ability to change one aspect, combine it with other aspects of us, our life, and create something amazing. We can all be alchemists. Actually, if you like to cook or a baker, you can be considered an alchemist. You're taking elements, combining them together to create something. I know that's a very loose interpretation of it, but it helps. Not everybody is into that kind of, I guess, earth-based, nature-based aspect. We have that ability. We just, again, need to play with it a bit. Things aren't as rigid and concrete as others like. It's not black and white. There is a whole shade of gray and a whole rainbow color that life has. And we don't need to be black or white. We should be somewhere playing in the colors, enjoying and experiencing what the rainbow and the grays have to share. Revolution. Like I said at the beginning of this reading, it's going to be a visual stunner this week with these cards. Revolution. That change. I'm not a big person on talking about, let's do a change, because again, that causes anxiety within us. Those shifts are easier. When we shift our perspective on something, or we shift where our energies are going, it's an easier step to take. When we talk about revolution, change, or evolution, it can get kind of scary because we're talking about that bigger aspect. You feel like you're taking a bit of a bigger step. We don't have to. What we're looking at is continuing on with our development. And that's what this week is really about. When we look back, say at the end of the year, this summertime aspect, we're going to see a big kind of shift perspective, if you will. Like we're going to see that shift so that we're starting to go again. Like I said, we've had a lot of time where things were shut down. Right? We know that. Things are starting to open up. Life is starting to kind of resemble some sort of normal again. I've said this now for 4 years now? It was back in 2019. I said this decade was going to be a foundational decade. Well, we're shaken free and building up. That's really what we're seeing this week. We're starting to build up and strengthen ourselves with different aspects that we may not have known or thought of before as something that's going to support us. But the more you get to know it, and different legs of it, you're going to see how you're going to be able to incorporate that in, strengthening your every day. It's going to be a fantastic week, especially when it comes to that knowledge base and expanding what we know and how that's going to help us, right? I think back into, was it 5 or 6 years ago, I stumbled on Reiki. I've been a light worker for 30 years. I've been doing energy work from the beginning. Even as a kid, I would do energetical healing. And I didn't know that's what I was obviously doing at the time. But I've been an energy healer for years. And then when I got to the Reiki world, I was able to give term to what I was doing. And terms, then language that people understood. The actual tools and the symbols, my Reiki master was like, I don't know what I just downloaded to you, but you were supposed to get one symbol and you just got like 125. And I'm like, ha! It was actually an ongoing joke with us because she never knew what she was going to send to me. So That's what it's kind of feeling like. It's that big eureka aha. You're starting to connect those dots. And sure, it may look like a hodgepodge, but it's meaningful when you bring it down. You can see that butterflies start to transcend and evolve. You've got your heart center. You've got all sorts. You even have the moon. Sometimes when you get a card that's visually overwhelming, it's about taking that time and slowing down and being present with it. And that's what this week is about. Slowing things down, being present with it, and starting to take out aspects and pieces that are going to be meaningful for you, that help you explain to others what it is you're wanting to do, what it is you should be doing. And it doesn't mean occupational change. It doesn't mean that you have to do those big steps, but you can start to incorporate that in, right? It's just like a baker taking on a different type of pastry, or a painter taking on a different type of medium. That expansion and growth, it's going to be very individual. But at the same time, it doesn't matter how small it may seem on paper, it's going to be fantastic for you as an individual as you grow and develop. All right, so I'm going to end off with any more insight that I've missed. So any of my friends that are currently online, if they have questions, please start typing them now, and I'll do my best to answer them up at the end. What further insight and wisdom can I share with my friends for the week of June 27th to July 3rd? All right. I love this card. The Lovers, talking about information overload, right? So the Lovers, of course, the 6th card in the Major Arcana, talks about that relationship. This is Archangel Raphael. It's a weird rendition of him. He usually doesn't have the third eye star, but that's okay. And yeah, like there's so much going on here. But the important aspect here is going to be that balance and that relationship. They're looking at not an external relationship, but your relationship with you. That communication. The reason the star was so important to me is going to be that communication with the high vibrational beings, your clairs, your intuition. This week, we're talking about growth of self. Anytime we're doing that, we're looking at, of course, that need to understand ourselves at a deeper level. Now, we do have double 6s. I thought we had double 8s, and we still might. But double 6s, the angels are telling you to ensure that you're taking time for all aspects, balancing out that physical with that spiritual as well. The Ace of Wands. This is really how I feel about the Ace of Wands. It kind of reminds me of a match that's about to be lit. It feels like, I don't know if it's actually happening, but to me, it looks like it's starting to erupt into flame. It's very much what the Ace of Wands feels like to me. That inspiration, that ignition of fulfillment, that connection, that passion base. Like I said, very much what this week is about. I love this card. I love so many of them. The Moon. The 18th card in the Major Arcana. Of course, we are looking at a gatekeeper. And they do have it here. They have both the pillars. But what's more, again, we go back to that divine feminine. We're just coming off the full moon. That importance of maintaining and continuing in with that full moon energy, that divine feminine energy, using it to help heal us on all aspects of self. Again, this card also, and it's not usually one that's, well, I guess, promoted, if you will. we've been dealing a lot with taking care of ourselves, especially at the beginning of the week, reminding ourselves that it's really important that we sleep. I know for me, in the summer, I don't sleep as much that I do in the winter because the sun's up. I should be up. Well, the sun doesn't have to rejuvenate like we do. So sure, the moon is encouraging us to connect into that unknown, those mysteries, to not be afraid of what's in the dark. It's also reminding us to take care of ourselves in all aspects, including that sleep. The moon itself, I guess, if you will, during the summertime, is very much in a dormantish state because the sun is up and it's so predominant. Don't forget to take care of that physical space. We have those double sixes. Our physical body is just as important as that spiritual and emotional self. The Two of Swords. Reminding you, you've got some choices to make. And like I said before, they're choices that you alone need to make. Sure, gain the insight and the information from those around you, but remember, it's going to be you, your decision, your actions. That's going to help embrace what this week offers or resist what this week offers. Either way, your choice is your choice. And a lack of choice is a choice on itself, by the way. Okay? So no one's asked any earth-shattering questions. So I'm going to wrap up here. Next week, like I said, I will be live on Thursday at the same time. And then also next week, I have a mindfulness meditation that I should be posting on Tuesday, I believe. And I think that's all I have for next week. I have some pretty cool ideas on what I want to do over the summer and in the fall. And in the fall, I'm looking at possibly doing kind of open live readings where people can send in their questions. Because a lot of times what happens is that at the end when I'm like, okay, bye, people start to write all their questions. So yes, I will see you soon again, Roberta. So lots of stuff that I'm going to be trying to work on over the next little bit. So I can't wait to see how it all kind of meshes out. All right. Until tomorrow, my friends.